Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Greg Bassey, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. It's a big day here at PAC 14. They're all big. It's election season, and we are interviewing candidates for our county and state offices. Today, we're doing Clerk of Court for Wicomico County, and we have Chris Welsh, who's a candidate. Welcome, Chris.
Welcome. Thank you.
So, I don't know if you've looked this up or not, but basically since 1925, 4 people have held the job that you're going after, and one of those people had it for 2 years. So basically 3 guys have been the clerk since 1925. It must be a good job.
It's not a bad job. It doesn't get enough notoriety, the work they do at that office. And Mark Bowen has done very well, and hopefully I can continue that if I get elected.
Now, people say to me all the time, what does the clerk do? So I'll just ask you, what does the clerk of court do?
The clerk's office mainly houses anything coming out of the circuit court. It has a criminal side and has a civil side. The criminal side will house evidence, recordings, things of that nature on the criminal side. On the civil side, any kind of records that come through the county. They're all handled through the clerk court's office.
Great. And this is an interesting situation because the last 2 clerks of court, Jim Smith and Mark Bowen, had worked in the office before and were sort of groomed for the job, but Mark hasn't groomed anyone. This is a fresh race.
This is a fresh race, and hopefully it'll put a fresh face on it. But I think both myself and my opponent are very happy with what Mark Bowen's done there and want to continue what he is doing and keep that continuity of services.
Right, and he had it for 35 years?
33 years, I believe.
33 years. And it's ironic because I went to high school with Mark, so we're the same age, and he's retiring.
Yeah, well, he's retiring, but he's also got a secondary job.
Yes, he does, yeah. And he's running for the Orphans
Judge
Court.
of the Orphans Court, yes,
yeah,
sir.
Which is
Yes,
kind of funny. So where'd you get the idea to do this?
I've been in law enforcement for 28 years. It's time for me to step down, to step onto something new. But my dedication has been to serve. This is an extension of that. I've lived in Wicomico County my whole life. My family's from Wicomico County. My dad was the warden at the jail at that courthouse for many years. I used to walk down from, back in the day, Y Middle, walk down there, and I would live in that courthouse. So this is just a continuity for me. It's just something to keep me going the next step.
Right, your father's Warden Welch? I didn't know that.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
He's a great guy.
Yes, sir.
Good
Yes,
golfer,
sir.
too.
Yes, he was. He was. He absolutely was. Still is.
What kind of changes do you want to bring to the office? You don't hear about changing or evolving it. Mark's done some great stuff, certainly with making things more technological. Any ideas?
I think I want to maintain what they're doing now. I want to keep that continuity of services, but I also don't want to lose that personal touch. I know when everything goes electronic, you kind of lose that personal touch, and I don't want to see that happen. So I want to kind of keep that going as well as continue to move forward in the technological age.
Right. And also, it's one of those things where it's a customer-friendly environment. Years ago, there were questions about how inclusive the people were. If you went in there, you didn't speak English, perhaps, could not make contact. Any ideas about that?
No, I just want to. It's the same in my profession. It's like we've gone away from talking to people, from getting out and speaking to them. And that's one thing I do want to keep. I want people to feel comfortable when they come in. I have only used the clerk's office a couple times, but when you go in there, you kind of feel a little standoffish. I want to get that personal feeling back.
When you go out and you talk to voters, what's their feedback on all this?
A lot of them don't even know what the clerk's office does.
Isn't it amazing? Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's a very important job. Like I said, I don't think they get the credit they deserve. But if you research it way back in the day, that was a very prestigious job. I mean, that was land records and things of that nature. It was a very evolving business.
Yeah, and in my business, it's really important with the legals notices that they're done correctly and published correctly. Because if they're not, I mean, there's thousands of dollars at stake all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. So,
your experience helps you with sort of a trust issue like that?
Well, that and my leadership experience. I mean, I started back in 1989 as a rookie police officer. I've worked my way up. I'm now the assistant commander at the State Police Barrack in Salisbury. So I've kind of gained that leadership. I've worked in numerous different task forces, working with civilians, allied law enforcement, things of that nature. So that leadership and that kind of is I think is going to be playing my court very well.
Someone told me that it's important for the clerk and for the Register of Wills to have a good relationship with the legal community, with all the lawyers in town. Do you find that to be true? How's your relationship?
Absolutely. I mean, I've spent many years in the courts, dealing with the state attorney's office, dealing with defense attorneys, and dealing with judges. I have several good friends that are in that profession, and I also know the way the court works, so that's going to play in my favor as well.
People don't just like wake up one day and want to be the clerk of the court. You must have been inspired somewhere by somebody.
No, a lot of people in the community knew I was thinking about stepping away from law enforcement. I have several friends in the law community that are down around the courthouse daily, and they came to me, and I looked into it, and that would be one very good way for me to, one, stay in the community, and two, be involved with public service.
Right.
So that'd be perfect.
And your family's deep commitment to public service?
Correct. Like I said, my dad was the warden here in Wicomico County. My mom was in corrections at ECI. My wife's grandmother, Betty Gardner, worked on the council. My father-in-law, Butch Gardner, owns a business in this county. So I've got very deep roots. My kids are in the school system here in Wicomico County. They go to Fruit and Falcons. I mean, they're very in depth. This is home for us. So this is a perfect opportunity to stay local, because in the state police I traveled a lot. I was here, there, and everywhere. My roots were here, but I was on the move a lot. This is where I want to be. This is a perfect spot at a perfect time.
How can people get a hold of you if they want to ask you more questions and talk to you, reach out? How can people get you?
We have a Facebook page, Chris Welch, Clerk of Court, and we also have an email, Welch for Clerk.
Good. He's Chris Welch. He's running for Clerk of the Court in Wicomico County, and we were thrilled to have him here today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir.
It's election season, and we're interviewing candidates for our county offices. Today, we're doing the Clerk of Court, and we have Bo McAllister with us today. Welcome, Bo.
Hi, Greg. Thanks so much for having me today.
So I'm sure you get this question all the time. What does the Clerk of the Court do in Wicomico County?
Yeah, I kind of anticipated you asking that. I get it from just about every voter I meet, but it's a pretty important job. Not a lot of people completely understand what the job entails. Most of the activity is done inside the courthouse. But in short, the clerk's office is responsible for filing, recording, and issuing some of the county's most important legal documents. And I can go on from there. I just don't know how long you want me to spend on this.
No, it fascinates me because it really is an important job, and people don't understand it. But you need someone who's pretty trustworthy in a position like that.
That's what I believe, and I also believe someone with a background working with the clerk's office would be extremely helpful. So when I talk about filing legal documents at the courthouse, that's all the lawsuits in criminal cases, civil cases, some family law cases, juvenile delinquency cases. In addition to that, you've got the recording in the land records of all the property deeds, all the mortgages, all the foreclosures, all the releases. All that stuff goes through the clerk's office, as well as all the business licenses and marriage licenses in the county.
So basically, 3 people have held this job since 1925. So does that make it a good job?
I don't know if that makes it a good job. That may be a reason why there's not so much information spread about the office.
Right.
That's been the biggest challenge for me, is trying to spread the word about the duties that the clerk's office is responsible for. And I see a lot of them on a day-to-day basis because I work at the courthouse and I work with the clerk's office on basically a daily basis.
We'll talk about what your profession is now. What is your background for this?
Sure. I've been an attorney for almost a decade now. I've been working at the Wicomico County State's Attorney's Office for the last 4 years. All my cases are at the circuit courthouse. So I'm working over there with the judges, the local attorneys, the security guards, bailiffs. I'm a familiar face over there. It's really a great place to work, and I look forward to continuing to work there, just in a slightly different role.
One of the things that the clerk's office is probably, it might be 10 years ago now. Mark Bowen, who has the job now, who would be your predecessor, there was a concern about the office being consumer friendly.
Sure. I mean, I've been working in a form of public service for most of my life, starting with the food restaurant industry. But when I started my legal career, I worked with a public law library in another state. And that's kind of an extension of the court system that would help people, members of the public, attorneys, whoever came in, get their research done and get their documents prepared for the clerk's office. So I'd like to build on that experience and bring that experience with me. My experience working with the clerk's office has been, they've all been very friendly and helpful to me. And I would like to make sure that that continues moving forward.
One of the issues also was for people who only spoke Spanish, that there was no one in the office who could help them. Has that changed?
I haven't tested the linguistics of
Right.
the whole staff yet. I do have a limited background in French and Spanish, which I think would be helpful with some of the different language speakers in our community. But it's certainly an issue that I've thought about and something that I would want to make sure we accommodate.
Is there anything that you want to accomplish, any changes that you'd like to make in this office?
Well, I have some kind of broad goals, and once I get in there, I'll kind of dissect and focus in on specific goals, smaller goals. But big picture, I want to make sure that the office is very friendly to the public. Public service is an important part of the role. That's something that everyone that works there should enjoy and really take to heart. Something that I've done for most of my career. In addition, we have the new e-filing system that started a couple years ago.
Right.
It's now used in all of the criminal cases, the civil cases. It'll soon be used in all the property deeds, the land records division. And that's something that, my background using the e-filing system here, as well as in other jurisdictions, I think will be especially helpful. It would be my goal to make sure that everyone that uses it, whether it be the legal community or others, make sure that it's very open and accessible to them.
And then Mark also did something just last year in the budget, or the year before. I forget what it was he did, but he was able to find a savings for the county, something that the clerk's office could do that the county was paying for. I think it saved the county like $160,000, and they were really appreciative that he was thinking for them.
Right. I'm of the same mindset. I've been working for the county for years. I do what I can to save money for the county because I realize that we're really working for the taxpayers, and I'm a taxpayer, we're all taxpayers. If I can save us all money, I'd be happy to do so. I've applied for scholarships and received scholarships through my office so that the office and the county don't have to pay for my training. Any means like that. I've even gone to the point of, finding a cheaper briefcase for my files online and saving the county $10-20 here and there. That's what I like to do. That's the way I live my life, and I would bring that to the office as well.
Where'd you grow up?
Graduate of Bennett High School, class of '99. I grew up over in Centennial Village on the west side.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When did you identify that you might want to do this job?
When I learned that Mark Bowen was retiring.
I mean, Mark's my age, so he should not be retiring, I don't think.
He's been doing it for 30 years,
Yes.
so he's definitely put in his time and would be deserving of a retirement. But when I heard that he was stepping down, I thought that it'd be very important that we have someone with the right background and the right motives to come in there and kind of continue the progress and the policies and the procedures that are in place. I just thought that with my background and my dedication to public service, it would be the best fit out of all the candidates.
Now, I tease Mark about this, but something he takes very seriously is this other role that he has. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Where he marries everyone.
Okay.
What do you think about all that?
Well, it's
In terms of it being your new job to marry people.
right. It's certainly what the clerk is most known for.
Right.
Especially after 30 years, he's probably married half the town now.
Yeah.
It's one of the few happy times when people come to the courthouse. I go to court all the time, and everyone's not so happy to be there.
Right.
But there's a few instances, a few types of proceedings where people are actually happy to be there, and I'd be happy to be a part of that. I actually had some friends of ours. I kind of performed the ceremony for them, did the vows and everything, and I got rave reviews on it. So
Good.
hopefully,
you need to put that on your resume.
yeah, that was like a debut, I guess.
The other thing he takes very seriously, and it is serious, is he swears in everyone who's assuming a public office.
Absolutely, that would be a tremendous honor. Whether it's our new law enforcement officers or whoever it is that's willing to dedicate their time and join the public service community and try to help our community grow. It's something that I would take seriously and really enjoy.
The lawyers in town, it's an interesting collective of people professionally. And one of the things I've heard over and over again is that unlike other county seat towns, the legal community, here they're supportive of each other and they're kind of a collective. They get along with each other. There's not a lot of backbiting or competition. It's much more holistic. Any ideas about that? Have you ever heard that about here? I mean, do you feel like we have a good legal community, whatever kind of question that is?
I do. I feel like I have good perspective on it too because I've practiced in other jurisdictions. I've practiced in big cities where people can be complete strangers to each other when they're working together as attorneys on the same case or whatever. And here, it's a relatively smaller, mid-sized community, so everybody really knows everybody. If you start mistreating people or disrespecting people, that word's going to get around and it's going to affect your reputation within the community and potentially your clientele.
Do you have a favorite story, anecdote where you helped someone professionally that something you're really proud of?
There's plenty that I could.
And sorry, you don't have to be humble. It's okay.
Yeah, that's one of the most rewarding. It is the most rewarding part of my current job, is helping victims get justice. And
in the state's attorney's office, you see that every day.
Right. I've been in criminal prosecution for 6 years now, and some of the stories that you see, some of the photos of injuries and deaths, it's just it's terrible stuff that no one should ever have to go through. I've been able to help people get justice. I've had hugs from family members of victims, even had a hug from a defendant the other day because I feel like I did the right thing. I just pursue justice the only way I know how. Follow the facts and try to be fair and treat everyone with respect. I could go on and on with stories, but I don't really care to get into too many facts.
If you're elected, are you going to miss that aspect of the law?
Of course. I mean, it's been my career. It's been my passion for the last 6 years. It's something I really enjoyed. But I'm also very excited about this new chapter. And it's not like I would be totally removing myself from the court system. That is my ultimate passion, is being a part of the court system in general and making it a great place and a better place for our community and for our citizens.
How can people get a hold of you? You're out there going door to door, which is scary in itself, but you're out there trying to introduce yourself to people.
Sure.
But if I want to get a hold of you, how do I get a hold of you?
Call my cell phone. You can email me. My information's on my website.
What's the website?
It's voteforbo2018.com. That slogan's kind of stuck since high school.
Right. So Mark Bowen, he was the deputy clerk of court for several years under James Smith, and then he moved into the position. It was seamless because he had been in that office for so long. He was being groomed for the job. There's no one in that role now. You're going to go in there cold. What's that going to be like?
Right. So that's another important factor in my decision to run. There were so many different factors that I had to consider, but the fact that our next clerk of court will have never been a clerk before was an important thing to consider. I feel like the next best thing would be to have someone who already works with the clerk's office regularly, is already familiar with the procedures and the rules and the regulations that are involved in filing documents, recording documents, working with the judges and the lawyers on a daily basis in the courtroom at the courthouse. And most of those things I do on a daily basis.
He's Bo McAllister. He's running for clerk of the circuit court for Wicomico County, and we're just thrilled to have had him here today. Thanks for being here, Bo.
Thank you, Greg.
I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent newspaper, another special election edition of One-on-One here on PAC 14. You can see all of these interviews on YouTube. We have them archived there. You can get to that from a link on the PAC 14 website, or go to YouTube, to the PAC 14 section on YouTube, and watch all these interviews. A lot of great information out there to help you decide who to vote for.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.